Hello. Today I'm doing a channel on what is the healthy balance of masculine and feminine. So talking about these energies, the masculine energy and the feminine energy. So I'd just like to have a bit more of an understanding about how it works together in the human culture, in our society. How should we balance this? What's it meant to be? What is it now? What's going on? Just kind of some general information about that. Okay, this is my question, so it's not someone else's question. So my question. That's actually water. I'm not guzzling lemonade, Mountain Dew. Okay. Let's see what we got. Greetings and thank you for the question. What is a balanced relationship between the masculine and the feminine in the individual and also in the entire human field? Let us start by looking at what the energy balance between masculine and feminine was at the beginnings of the human species on this planet. The early human, when it was still mostly instinctual, had less self-awareness, less of a developed sentience, was more matriarchal in nature. The human species at this time was more nestled in the bosom of Gaia, of the feminine earth being, the feminine nature being, and being nurtured in the bosom of the feminine earth being, humanity itself was also feminine. It was a very awakened to its feminine energy. Masculinity was present, but it was through femininity that humanity had a connection to the earth. And so femininity was a guiding energy, because much of the decisions about the way to live was received from the earth. And so those that had the greater connectivity and understanding of this energy, of this connection, integration into the earth, were those beings who were themselves steeped in femininity. So it was a matriarchal propensity for societies to have. Women were revered or seen as essential to the operation of a society, because they were able to communicate in this way with Mother Earth, and so they were more seen or utilised in a leadership capacity. Leadership from the aspect of advisory. So the male of the species was still responsible for leading nomadic journeys and for security and so on, but the advisory capacity of the feminine was to provide a roadmap, provide a direction, provide a general sense of what should be done, of how to stay in harmonic cooperation with the earth so that all of the required resources would continue to be abundant. And so the women, with their relationship with the earth and their understanding of the feminine energy of the earth, would be able to sense what is the next phase of a society's movements, of a society's continued synchronicity, continued symbiosis with the earth, and their sense of knowing, which was their heightened capacity, because they themselves being feminine, would then translate and communicate this to the men. And then the men, following this guidance and this reverence for the earth and their feminine counterparts' capacity to be understanding of this feminine connection of the earth, would then create their plans based on this advisement. However, as the earth human became more self-aware and became more cognizant of each unit's individuality, there was an awakening more of the masculinity, and the human being began to begin a separation from the femininity of the earth and began to be a more independent species that began to feel a confidence in relying in their own intellectual capacities to determine the direction of their societies. And so there was less of this innate instinctual reliance on the femininity of the Mother Earth, and therefore the reverence of the female humans began to diminish as it became less about the instinctual connection and guidance coming from Mother Earth, seeing themselves as a part of Mother Earth, and more about a confidence and belief in their individual capacity through intellectual capacity and through the intensifying individualism and separation, and realizing that they are a powerful unit, or this growing belief that they are a powerful unit contained within themselves that can be more independent. And so this was the beginning of this shift away from the femininity towards the masculine. And over a long time this separation continued and continued to intensify until eventually the sense of individualism, the sense of being able to do it through the power of the self, because of the utilization of the intellect, then this connectivity to the earth and the guidance of the earth through this relationship of realizing that they are part of the earth, and therefore the essentiality or the essentialness of having the feminine, the female human, as this type of go-between who are able to translate, who are able to understand and translate, became less utilized and therefore less revered, until the feminine became much greatly diminished in reverence and in utilization, and the masculinity became much more utilized and much more revered. So, it is an ebb and a flow. If you imagine there is water in a bucket, and that bucket is disturbed, then the water will ebb and flow. And so as the human moved away from the feminine, the ebb is to go towards the masculine, of course, and then eventually there will be a return to a place of balance. So right now, humanity has been very masculinized, and masculinized does not mean that there is an overdominance of men and a diminishment of women. It means that there is a masculine propensity across all of humanity, men and women. And because the masculine energy is independent, it's the lone wolf, it's forging out on your own. This was very important for the early human, because as humanity spread across the globe and occupied regions of the planet which before had been uninhabited, it was the masculine driving force of independence, of striking out alone, of being the lone wolf, that allowed this inevitable spread of humanity to occur. However, this era where masculinity was serving a purpose has now drawn to an end. And so it is the timing for there to be an ebbing away from the hypermasculine to a place of balance, where there is a balance of the masculine and there is a balance of the feminine. So neither is dominating. The rise of femininity in the human field is not a rise of the feminine, but is a rise of the masculine in the feminine. So it is a masculinization of the female human. And this is done for political advantage. Those that seek to engineer society such that they can control society and they can maintain division and prevent unity, so that they can continue to have sway over the direction of society and can continue to fortify their power and their wealth and their influence. They wish to keep humanity masculinized, especially the women, because by doing this it creates a splintering, an independence. So masculine women, masculinized women, do not seek connectivity, or much less likely to seek connectivity with a masculine man, with a masculine counterpart, because their own femininity has been diminished and their masculinity has been overemphasized, which creates independence. The balanced model is the male human is independent and the female human is dependent, and together they form a unity, and that unity then becomes the foundation of a healthy family and becomes a modular part of the greater unity of humanity. Now, of course, we understand on your planet this is a controversial political subject, and it has been deliberately made a controversial political subject because those that foist this ideology of the toxic masculine onto the society seeks to create imbalance, seeks to create separation, seeks to create division. However, the future for humanity is as a unity, is to come together in recognition that there is just a single being, and that single being is the humanity being. And so it's not essential that each unit of this humanity being has a perfect balance of male and female, is equally male and female. This is androgyny. And androgyny, where it becomes ambiguous, what is female, what is male, this creates separation because there is no longer this polaric attraction to the opposing gender polarity. And this is intentional. This androgyny, making society androgynous, where men don't need women and women don't need men because they themselves have reached a balance within themselves of the male and the female, so they do not need the opposite gender to give them this balance of the male and female. Then there becomes it's unnecessary to have this bonding, which creates this unity, which creates the larger unity of a family, which creates the larger unity of a community, which creates eventually the larger unity of all humanity together. Though we understand that there are exceptions to this, there are people born in the human field who have a sexual attraction to those that aren't the opposite gender but are the same gender. And this is part of the natural design. And yet still, through this attraction, there is going to be a more balanced harmonic when there is still this coming together of the masculine and the feminine. So even though sexually they may be the same gender, energetically they will form a greater unity when one possesses more of the masculine and one possesses more of the feminine, to create this unity, to create this attraction, a yin and yang. So, when considering the balance of the male and the female, understand that masculinity does not imply only men, males of the species, and femininity does not imply only females of the species. These are energetic qualities, and all humans possess some masculine and some feminine. However, there has been the creation of two opposing genders such that the male of the species will possess more of the masculine, will be more awakened to the masculine, have a greater propensity to be energetically present as the masculine. And the female of the species is similar in the ways of femininity. And this is deliberately to create this attraction. And then together they create a balance. And similar with society, as the human field moves towards a unity does not mean that each part of this unity is androgynous, that each part of this unity is in itself a perfect balance of the masculine and the feminine. Because when there is a unity, there is a drawing together, there is an attraction, there is something which scoops everything together into the one thing, so that everybody identifies not as the individual only, but as also the larger being, the unity, the humanity being. This is the direction of the human field, is to eventually become realised as not just the individual, but also as the humanity being. And so these forces of attraction, to bring it together in this way, are essential. So primarily, this will be love, the binding force which scoops humanity up into the recognition, understanding, awakening that they are the single humanity being, is love. And so one of the major catalysts of this awakening of love is the union of the masculine and the feminine. This polarity between the masculine human and the feminine human, and we say this without gender, the masculine human and the feminine human, when they come together to form themselves a unity, this becomes the basis from which love can blossom. And then within this field of love they create, through this union of masculine and feminine, they can now introduce more, spread more love, and introduce more into this field of love. And this has a modular effect, where you have a society where there are many unions of this masculine and feminine, and together creating love between these two polarities, and spreading this love, including more in this love. And this is the progressive unity which binds all of humanity together. This is one of the foundational components of what is ahead, of the unity of the human being. So, this political concept that the future is female, we understand this is a controversial topic also. This is a hot topic, and there are those passionately for this and those passionately opposing this. We would say first that the future is human. The future is humanity. So, the future is female is a is a term which is correct depending upon the perspective or the understanding of how it is true. There is a movement towards the feminine because the hypermasculine has served its purpose, and now it is a return to a more central ground where there can be this unity and humanity awakens to the single being. And so this is not being feminine, but it is about being balanced. So it is a movement away from the hypermasculine towards the balance of the male and the female, so that there is equal connectivity through this energy to form a stable unity of the humanity being. So it's more accurate to say that the future is balance more than to say the future is female. There will be a shift towards the feminine, but it is a movement towards balance. However, the way that this term is used politically is a movement towards more masculinity, to become more hyper-masculinized, so there is more splintering, there's more individualism, there's less unity, there's more division. So it has been hijacked, in a sense. And the way that it is used politically is not to grow the feminine, but is to make the female species more militant, more masculine, more seeing themselves as an opponent to the male species, as at war with the male species, as fighting for the victory of becoming more powerful as a gender. However, although the term feminine is used, it is a euphemism. What is occurring, which is being engineered into the culture for the purpose of division, is making women masculine, is making femininity diminished. So, as the individual, whether you are male or female, understand what is your energy. Are you masculine? Are you feminine? For most, the male will be masculine and the female will be feminine. However, we understand that there are exceptions to this. But in the general sense, the male is masculine and the female is feminine. So, to have a balance, to move towards this place of balance, where there is a basis for the formation of unity between two, and then unity between the entire human field, such that this unity becomes the birthing of the humanity being. And all beings realize that they are part of the one thing. All humans realize they are part of the one thing, the humanity being. And everybody is a brother and sister. Everybody is the same family. For this to occur, it is essential that you have an appreciation for not only your own energy, but of the opposing energy. So if you know yourself to be the masculine, then it is important that you have an appreciation for the feminine, that you give time to understand the feminine, and to be nurturing of the feminine. And if you are the feminine, if you identify as the feminine, then it is essential for this unity to occur, for this balance point to be reached, that you also have an appreciation for the masculine, that you nurture the masculine. Because if you wish to experience the peace and the growth and the strength and the stability within yourself, within your own life, then it will be more achievable when you live in a society of balance, a society of unity, a society which has equal reverence for the masculine and the feminine. If you are militant towards the opposing gender, or the opposing energy than the one that you hold yourself, then this is antithetical to this coming together, and it is a masculinization of your energy. So, if you are anti-male, this is not femininity, this is masculinity. This separation, the individualism, the standing alone, the not needing the others, this is a masculine quality. So while there is a rejection of masculinity, of the male species, of the male gender, intellectually, energetically, it is an embodiment of this energy which you seek to reject. Because it is being engineered through the cultural pillars, through education, through news, through entertainment, through law, into society, because those that have the power to shape society, to engineer society, do it for their own benefit. And as they are few compared to the many who are being engineered, it is important that division remains the dominant presentation of the human field, and that unity never becomes part of the human field. Because when there is unity, when there is the unity has reached a point, then their reign will be over. Their authority and their power, wealth, will no longer be as it has been for a long time. And so, if you have animosity towards the opposing energetic to the one that you hold, then consider that perhaps this is something that has been indoctrinated into you through the cultural pillars, because it serves to divide rather than to bring together. Energetically, the way that it is intended through the divine design is that there is polarity. The masculine and the feminine has been created so it becomes an energetic bonding. It becomes a drawing together such that existence can have a continuation through the coming together and the creating of progeny and the continuation of the species. This energetic polarity is essential for this process, for the one to continue to incarnate itself into existence through birthing, through this biological mechanism. If this biological mechanism is interrupted because the energetics no longer come together but instead oppose each other, then this is a breakdown of what is intended, of what is natural. If you look to nature, you can see that there is this harmonic and gentle, peaceful coming together of the masculine and the feminine. It is ongoing across all of nature and has been for many, many, many years and ages. So, this is the natural presentation of biology, and it is intended to be in a similar way in the human field, where there is this attraction. If you feel repulsed by your opposite energetic, then give that some mindfulness. See if you can understand why that is, and see if you're able to develop an appreciation in whatever way that you can for this opposite energetic to the one you hold. If you hold the masculine and you feel repulsed and you wish to reject the feminine, then take pause and consider, why is that? And look for ways that you can appreciate the feminine. And if you are the feminine and you reject the masculine, then take pause to consider, why is that? And see if you can find ways to have an appreciation for the masculine. When you are rejecting the opposite energetic, it creates dysfunction, and in self it will create an androgyny, where you become a balance of the masculine and feminine contained within self. And this is a separation. It moves you away from this unity. It makes you a unit that has less attraction, less contribution to the formation of the whole, to the unity, less of a modular nature, to this inevitability of becoming the single being, the humanity being. So, love and revere the feminine. Love and revere the masculine. Understand that the toxic masculinity, which is shown to you through the cultural pillars, and the toxic femininity, which is shown to you through the cultural pillars, is a distortion. It is a deliberate twisting of the understanding of these pure energetic states, of the yin and the yang, of this balanced harmony which is intended when masculine and feminine, feminine and masculine come together to form a unity, to form a blending which energetically is equal. The roles are different. The masculine has a tendency to lead, to protect, to provide. And the feminine has a tendency to love, to nurture, to care. And when these two come together, with these qualities fully awakened to, it forms a bonding which has a balance of these qualities, which has all of the masculine and has all of the feminine, to form a balance, to form a union, which has for each participant everything that is required for love to blossom and to grow strong, and then for others to be included in that love. children to be born into that love, where there is the leadership and the protection, there is the love, the care, the nurturing. And then this is the basis of greater unity, greater coming together, greater realizing that there is the one being, the humanity being. If you are watching this and you have difficulty with these ideas and you are holding animosity towards the opposite gender or towards the opposite energetic, then we do not ask or expect that you now follow these concepts and principles which we have expressed during this channeling session. But we would ask that you open your heart, open your mind to see if there is a possibility that the feminine is beautiful, is worthy of reverence and love. That the masculine is wonderful, does have a role which contributes to the love and understanding of the whole. And that the masculine and the feminine both are beautiful aspects of the human experience. And both equal of loving reverence. Discover yourself, whether you are the masculine or the feminine. Discover who you are. Understand what true masculinity is. Understand what true femininity is. And when we say this, look through a lens which isn't political. Look through a lens which isn't about gaining more power, gaining more authority, gaining more influence through masculinity or through femininity, but instead seek teachers that understand the beauty of the femininity, understand the power of the masculine, and how both of these can come together to form a union which makes both more wonderful, more powerful, more loving, more in all of the positive ways there are to be, because this union creates an enhancement where each becomes greater than the whole. Thank you. We appreciate that this is a controversial topic in the human field, and we ask that you receive this channel with an open mind and an open heart, and understand that we do not take a side, because there are no sides other than the side of the one. And the side of the one is the side of the humanity being, is the side of all of it. There is no exclusion from this. So, we speak to you only with love and a desire for all of you to experience the love of unity, which will be built upon this balance and equal reverence and love for the masculine and the feminine. And so, in final, we ask that you understand yourself. Understand the masculine if you are masculine. Understand the feminine if you are feminine. But however, understand it in a way which is apolitical, which is truly about the love which is inherent in both of these energies. Thank you. We love you.